Hello everyone and welcome back to my F1 2020 My Team career mode for the US Grand Prix today. A relatively technical circuit, especially in the first sector and a half, but we'll hopefully be able to get through qualifying without too many issues. So Q1, we do just that. We just about get through into Q2. Matsushita had some very good pace in practice, so I thought he might be able to break into Q2. Not the case today, unfortunately, down in 17th position, unfortunately, but still a pretty decent starting place for him. He'll be looking for his first points in Formula 1 today. But we move on now into Q2. We'll see if we can continue on our form. We've been getting some pretty decent results recently. Our pace has been steadily improving, though on the performance charts we are still right near the bottom, one of the worst teams in the sport. But I think a lot of that is actually down to durability.
We won't progress to the shootout. Give it your best shot.
With Jeff interrupting us on our hot lap there, we go very wide on the final corner, but we'll see if we can get through into the next session. If we do, we're massively outperforming where our car should be, but we do just about get through, down in 10th position, so we just scrape through into the top 10. Not really a shootout despite the name of it, but anyway, we do get through in 10th position. Max Verstappen seemingly struggling for pace a little bit there, and well, Albon even worse, not even making it. So Red Bull very much on the back foot today. Yeah, hopefully they'll be able to recover in the race for their sakes. But we'll go on to Q3, and you can see it is raining now in this session, so we haven't quite had the pace of the midfield cars like Renault and McLaren, but we'll see if that changes in this final session. Generally the rain has been quite kind to us, so we'll see what we can do as we finish our first lap and we go into 10th position. So a lot of time to find on our second flyer, so we go once again, and we need some good improvement. Bottas is improving, so obviously the track conditions are still there, so there is definitely time to find on this lap. So let's see what we can do. We're actually gaining quite significantly on our initial time there, so we might be in the mix. If we can gain a half a second or so, we might be in the mix to move ourselves up the order. But as we continue on through this lap, you can see still finding time somehow through all these corners despite missing a few apexes. We must just be carrying the speed a bit better than our initial lap. So just this long right-hander, and then the final two corners to go, and we'll see if we can seal off this lap. But a big lose of the back end as we head into this penultimate corner, and we just lose all the time we just spent that lap gaining, and we're only going to improve our lap by a couple of tenths. We'll see if it's enough to improve our position, but it might be a tough ask. Around the final corner and across the line, and we are going to start in 10th position for the US Grand Prix.
With qualifying finished, it's time to remind ourselves of our top three: Hamilton, Bottas and Max Verstappen. With qualifying wrapped up, we now have our grid lineup for the big race tomorrow. Be sure to join us then for what will no doubt be a fantastic race. But
at the end of the day, even though we set a fairly sad looking time compared to the rest of the top 10, even if we did gain that half a second that we lost in the last couple of corners, it wouldn't have pushed us that much further up the grid. Maybe we would have got Sainz and got ourselves up into 8th, but yeah, it wouldn't have made a huge difference at the end of the day. So yeah, it's not a big deal ultimately, and we'll just focus on the race. Hopefully we can score some points today. We're in a good position. We'll be starting on the soft tyres, unfortunately, but we'll see what we can do.
Welcome once again then to the United States Grand Prix here in the magnificent city of Austin. It was here in 2018 that Kimi Räikkönen delighted the world by winning for the first time in 114 races. There's always a record to be broken, so what, I wonder, is in store for us today? We have 10 turns to the left and 10 to the right here at the fantastic Circuit of the Americas. Overtaking opportunities into turn 1 and 12 at this anti-clockwise 3.6 mile track. and we should see average lap speeds of around 126 miles per hour. Joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Now, I want to talk to you about Valtteri Bottas. They've got a really good lead in the championship going into this weekend, so it feels to me that they've got one hand on the trophy.
Let's not get too ahead of ourselves, Crofty. Yes, it looks like a big lead, but all it takes is a locked brake into turn 1, a sticky wheel nut in the pit stop, and that could all get turned on its head. You can never discount one more sting in the tail.
With the race minutes away from starting, here's what today's grid rundown looks like. An immense lap from Lewis Hamilton yesterday puts him on pole position, with Sebastian Vettel starting alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Norris, Sainz, the scientist, and Ocon. Bottas, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Verstappen, Leclerc, and Lance Stroll. Matsushita, Magnussen, Romain Grosjean, and Kvyat, Perez, Giovinazzi, George Russell, and Kimi Raikkonen. Albon, Latifi, Ricciardo, and Pierre Gasly picks up the final grid slot today. Now, it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track.
You're in a strong position to deliver a point-scoring place for the team today. We know you can do it.
Alright, so we've been elevated a massive number of positions up into 5th now due to grid penalties. One of those for championship leader with a monumental lead, Valtteri Bottas, but he has his work cut out for him today to do some damage limitation, though it's hard to see how he can lose the championship at this point. If he can just score even a few more points, I think that would basically lock it in, but we'll see as we get ready. We're going to go soft to medium to hards on the strategy, and if the medium tyres feel okay, we'll extend that middle stint and go on to another set of mediums. But on the formation lap, we're not really heating up the tyres at all because they can overheat very, very quickly. But even putting no effort into warming the tyres, they were already quite toasty by the time we got around to the line, so I'm not too concerned about tyre warm-up, but tyre heating is another issue. We'll see how that goes, though.
Keep an eye on the lights. The start sequence will begin as soon as the grid has formed. Be ready with the clutch.
So we are ready to go to the 5 red lights. And away we go for the US Grand Prix. A lot of wheel spin for Carlos Sainz. We go to the right-hand side, and we're going to get him actually along the run to the first corner. Vettel is having a look at Lewis Hamilton. Not going to be able to make the move there, though. And we're going to go round the outside of everyone there up into 3rd position. So it's a great start for us. We're pressurizing Sebastian Vettel into the first sector, but we miss every single apex and lose all of that time. But thankfully, we do manage to hold on to this 3rd position. I don't expect to hold it through to the end of the race. We've got the likes of Bottas and Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen, all trying to come through the field. But it has been an absolutely perfect start for us. And the likes of the McLarens and Renaults, I do think we'll be able to hold behind us. Daniel Ricciardo starting down the order as well with a massive grid penalty. So yeah, it will be an interesting race with a lot of cars coming through the field, but we almost get overtaken by Carlos Sainz there as we ran wide through that triple right-hander, but thankfully we just about hold on to the position. But you can see the understeer kicking in. We are not approaching the Ferrari. They are quickly getting away from us. But yeah, you can see the understeer kicking in as these tyres are very, very hot. So we need to try and keep these temps under control, as well as keeping the McLaren behind us. But thankfully for us, the straight line speed of that McLaren doesn't seem to be too high. Certainly not as fast as the Renaults. Maybe we've just improved relative to them more, but we'll go on board with Carlos Sainz for a moment, and he goes for a move up the inside and makes a bit of contact there, but no damage done. We can just move on, but that was a close one. We're under pressure once again from Carlos Sainz. Down the inside he goes. We leave the space, and he's actually made the move there. We've still got a bit of an overlap on the outside. We'll see if we can fight back around the outside of the Spaniard, but not going to be. We'll have a look to the inside. It's going to cover that off. We'll see if we can get in the slipstream, go to the outside. Later on the brakes, then Carlos Sainz, he swoops across to cover the line, and Carlos Sainz manages to maintain that position. Great defense there from Carlos, and there's nothing we can do. We are stuck behind him for now, and down into 4th position. But it's time for us to come into the pits, and we'll rid ourselves of these horrendous soft tyres. The pit assist is on from the Monaco race, so we will turn that rubbish off and continue towards our pit stop. We'll go on to the medium tyres now, and as I said at the start, if they feel any good, we'll extend this stint and go on to another set of mediums to the end. If they're overheating like the softs, we will go on to the hards to finish the race.
Okay, stay clear of the white line on the exit. We'll receive a penalty for dangerous driving if you cross over into the track.
But a lot of the other drivers will be doing 3 stops around this circuit, so we could potentially have a strategical advantage if we can just hold our track position when we need to. So as we continue on, that's Carlos Sainz. He's managed to stay ahead of us as he makes his way out of the pit lane. So that was not a great outlap for us, and yeah, Sainz has managed to hold that position. We throw everything at it trying to stay close, but the dirty air ultimately is not going to allow us to keep up with him through this section of track. But as we continue on, we do get close once again along the back straight as he's caught up in traffic. We go down the inside into the hairpin at the end of the straight. Sainz though keeps fighting around the outside. It's going to have the inside line. We go very deep into this next right-hander. Sainz holds on as we send ourselves off the road, and we need to rethink our strategies and come back at him at a later time. So as we continue on though through the race, we send one up the inside once again. Gasly locks up there, I think, but we managed to make the move on Sainz. We'll have the outside line here, and Sainz has given us a hit there on the apex. We're off the road again. We're side by side with Carlos Sainz. You can see the front wing there now. He's fully around the outside. We're going to sweep out wide though and make sure he cannot make it around the outside. I didn't really mean to push him off circuit quite that much. There's the hit as we did pinch him on the apex there. I didn't expect him to still be there, so fair play. But Sainz not able to hold it around the outside, and in fact the Ferrari, I think, of Charles Leclerc managed to get him there as well. Up ahead though, Pierre Gasly going down the inside and making the position on George Russell, who I think it might have been Russell that locked up before, and we go down the inside of Russell, just grazing past his left front tyre there and making the move nicely on the British driver in the Williams. They're very, very fine margin on the overtake there, but we managed to make the move. Bottas gets past us. We're not going to fight him too hard as he has a lock up into the hairpin, but Bottas is through. We don't need to fight him. We're not at all in the same race as we go around the outside and get ahead of Lance Stroll and move ourselves up into 8th position in this race. So we're still in a decent position. It's very hard to keep track of the strategy. We're up and down like a yo-yo between about 6th and about
P6,
20th position in this race, as Stroll goes down the inside, makes the move. We can't really fight him there, and Stroll is up and ahead of us into 4th position for him as we're down into 5th. So you can see what I mean about our position is just up and down so much with cars on different strategies. That's a Ferrari losing the back end there. Charles Leclerc that was having a look up the inside as we were a little bit wide on the exit, but he just loses the back end trying to tighten up the line, and the McLaren was able to take advantage of that. Carlos Sainz it was who managed to get down the inside, and that's Esteban Ocon just about squeezing through as well, but I think Leclerc was able to hold that position on Esteban Ocon. That's Sainz down the inside into the first corner. We give him a little nudge potentially there, but maybe
Okay, keep on him. He might make a mistake.
not quite actually, but we were very close at the hairpin, but Sainz is able to get through, and yeah, we just don't have the pace of the cars around us at the moment. You can see getting squeezed by the Ferrari as we tried to pinch him to the apex. He did the same to us on the exit. We're still run side by side. It's a great battle here with Charles Leclerc. We get the run on the exit to maintain the position ahead of the Ferrari. Here's the replay as we battled side by side all the way around the hairpin. Really great racing with Charles Leclerc here, but we were able to get the power down better on the exit, cut him off and take the inside line as we ran towards the hairpin. He wasn't able to come back at us on that occasion. But as we continue on further into this race, the lack of pace, I suppose, continues, as does the mistakes, and Leclerc is able to get through as we ran wide through the penultimate corner. We'll see if we can come back at him here along the main straight, but it's actually Leclerc who gets the DRS along the straight, so I think that is Leclerc ahead of us now. We can't really fight back. We might have a look to the inside. We'll send it up the inside. Leclerc sees us coming. We go very wide of the apex, but Leclerc gives us the space we need to make the move, and we're back up ahead of Charles Leclerc and back up into what is currently sixth position. But this is our box lap, but we're going to continue on.
Medium tyres at the next stop.
And yeah, go on to the medium tyres, because these tyres have felt fine. They haven't been overheating too badly. Probably hotter than what's ideal, but not to a horrendous level as Max Verstappen gets past us, as well as the racing point of Sergio Perez. We go very late on the brakes, almost running to the back of Max Verstappen there, trying to defend from Sergio Perez. We get the power down on the exit once again, a very straight line off the exit if you go wide there, and Perez was a little bit pinched on the apex, so that really helped us get that position back. We've got good late straight line speed versus the Red Bull. We go back up the inside. It's a big lock up from Max Verstappen, and we get the move done and back ahead of Verstappen, and move ourselves back up into 5th position at the moment. Not our legitimate track position, I don't think. I think in relative terms we're probably around 6th or 7th once everyone has made their final stops, but we'll see what happens. It's very, very hard to keep track of, but anyway, we'll come in for our final stop and see where we come out. But as you'll see, the track position, it almost means nothing, because in one pit stop we've gone from 5th position all the way down to 17th.
See these tires through to the end now.
So yeah, it's a very weird strategical race. A lot of cars within a short space. We're very wide there on pit exit, but yeah, it's a very hard race to try to follow exactly what's happening. So as Max Verstappen comes out of pit lane, we're right behind him. Can we make a move on the Dutchman as we head through the first sector? We're in 14th position at the moment. We can't make the move on Verstappen, though. He was very quick immediately out of the pit lane. We continue on, we move ourselves up into the top 10, and as everyone else...
We pretty much burned off our excess fuel. We'll be back on target soon. Don't wait too long to turn the engine down.
Why you gotta do this, Jeff? As everyone else makes their final stops, that is Carlos Sainz. We are up into 7th position at the moment, and here's the onboard with Carlos Sainz, and he's revving the engine out on pit exit. He makes a little bit of contact. Oh, that's a big slide, but he's
coming in for his stop.
Managed. Jeffrey, you're doing it again. He managed to save it. Matsushita's in his final stop, and we are now getting blue flagged for Lewis Hamilton, who is in the race lead at the moment. But yeah, we are up into 6th position at the moment as Nicholas Latifi moves out of the way. We're trying to get a bit of slipstream from him, but he was having none of it. There goes Lewis Hamilton. He's dominating this race. He is
P6. We have P6.
A mile ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who has I think made his way up into 2nd place by now. As the racing point gets down the inside, we'll try and come back at Sergio Perez, though we're very close behind him through this final sector. This is our strong part of the circuit compared to the other drivers, this final sector, so if we can stay close here, we might have a chance to come back at him along the main straight. You can see pushing very hard, but a lot of understeer compared to the racing point, and we're just out of contention at this point. But as we continue on, we're actually not too far behind as we get onto the main straight. We had a pretty good first sector, which was very surprising. The DRS open along the straight. We'll see if we can get Sergio Perez. He defends to the inside. We go further all the way to the white line, and we'll get past Sergio Perez quite easily there and make our way back up into 6th position rather, once we get ahead of Perez. And now we can try to focus on just maintaining this position to the end of the race. We're not terribly far away from the end of the race, so we've only got a few laps left. It snuck up very quickly. It's a purple middle sector there, but here is the race winner coming towards the finish line. Lewis Hamilton absolutely dominating the US Grand Prix from pole position, and he will take the win today. Well done, Lewis Hamilton. Fights back in the championship when he really needed to. Still a lot of work for him to do. We're going to come around to finish the race in
That's
7th.
the end of the race. We'll see you in Parc Ferme.
6th rather. I can't count. Pierre Gasly, the driver of the day.
That's a spectacular victory then, and with it, the championship is secure. It's been a magnificent season, and they thoroughly deserve the cheers of the crowd here today. Anthony Davidson, a resounding victory today. What set them apart from the rest?
Well, I honestly feel it was down to the driver and car today. I mean, we can talk driver skill all day, but if you don't have a solid team to back that, you're never going to get anywhere. When you hit that sweet spot of having both an excellent driver and an incredible car, that's when you see results like those we witnessed today.
So after a magnificent race, we can now see the drivers making their way to the podium. Once again, it's the Silver Arrows who take top spot, a well-earned victory for Mercedes.
So it's Lewis Hamilton who takes the race win today. Valtteri Bottas finishes up in P2, a great recovery drive from the Finn to limit the damage in the championship, and it's going to be Sebastian Vettel who finishes in 3rd.
Let's have a look then at the drivers' standings. Our championship leader is still sat at the top of the standings, but their rivals have made up some solid ground today. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Well, for me, it's got to be Lewis Hamilton. The multiple world champion may be the boring choice at this point, but you can't argue that he's a driver deserving of his reputation.
It's another clear win for Mercedes as they managed to secure the Constructors' title. An incredible performance for the whole team. Well, Ant, an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So it is another solid result for us in the championship, and sort of further secures our spot in a very decent championship position actually. So yeah, I don't think we can move up any further in the Constructors' Championship, but we can certainly try and see what we can do in the later races. Matsushita has been very, very close to the points in the past few races. He got unlucky in Japan with a grid penalty. Otherwise, he would have started in the top 10 and likely would have been able to stay there throughout the race. And in this one, it was all down to strategy. He wasn't on the ideal strategy, but out of the drivers that were on his strategy, he did do quite well. So yeah, it was disappointing. It was a disappointing day for Matsushita as well, but he certainly has more potential to come in these final few races. Next up is Mexico, so let's hope that he can show what he's got there. But for us, as I said throughout the race, it was very difficult to follow what was happening, and honestly, until the last few laps, I had no clue what position we were really in. But yeah, the strategy paid out for us. We pretty much were able to run at our own pace for the majority of the race. We never really were held up by anyone, and we had a few good battles, but we're also able to hold back the faster cars that were making more pit stops, and I think that's what sort of what got us the result today. Just the fact that we were able to hold up Carlos Sainz for so long in the first stint, while he was clearly faster, and the likes of Charles Leclerc, Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, when they were all behind us, the fact that we were able to hold them off and yeah, slow them down to our pace while we were on the slower strategy, or on the slower tyres rather, I think is what saved our race today, and what helped us gain a few extra positions and got us up into the points today. So that brings the US Grand Prix weekend to a close, and we continue to pull away from Esteban Ocon in our rivalry, 23-19, with 2 races to go. I think that really means 1, but anyway, we are level 13 on Team Acclaim now, getting closer to the level 20 for our final sponsor, but that's still a long way to go. That'll be late in Season 2, early in Season 3 if we ever get there, but we get full credit from our sponsors today, and lose a little bit of money for the damages to the car. I don't know where damage came from for me.
Our margins are looking good right now. I think we've got room for some more investment.
But anyway, we'll just ignore that and focus on the large amount of money that we have at the moment, and we'll invest that very soon. But first we will sort out the activity timeline. We're going to do the sponsor event on the right there, and boost up that team acclaim, and yeah, we'll do that. That will help us slowly inch towards that next sponsor deal, as well as improving the sponsor deals that we have at the moment. But other than that, as I said, we have some things to improve on the facility side, and we're going to go for the marketing facility, and that is a very expensive upgrade, but we'll also just save some upgrades that we've got with the resource points, put the old engine in for ready for practice in Mexico, and I was just checking the championship there. Matsushita has moved up a position ahead of I think George Russell. But anyway, other than that, not too much else left to say other than thank you very much for watching this video to the end, and I will see you next time for the Mexican Grand Prix. Thank you and goodbye.